Welcome to Western Door Paranormal Studies. My name is Tony Burtis, lead investigator and your host. Now tonight we have a special treat. We are in a private residence located in Elmwood Village. Now I've always wanted to do an investigation in Elmwood Village. It's a historic place, and this building that we're in actually leads credence to that description. Now back in the day, this place here was a speakeasy. Now it currently acts as a bed and breakfast. Now the first two floors are actually occupied, but the entire third floor is where people come from out of town and they actually rent out the rooms and they stay when they come on vacation in the area. Now there are two main spirits that are encountered and talked about in this particular dwelling. One is an imaginary friend type, a little boy ghost. And he goes by the name of Max. There's kind of an interesting story that kind of winds with him and the other male spirit that I'll get to in a moment. Now, the male spirit that has been actually seen around here is best described as an older gentleman in black, and he has been seen in broad daylight. Now, there's speculation that he might have been the original owner of the place, which is what we're going to try also to get to the bottom of. Now, the ghost stories that come with this place, besides the usual spontaneous paranormal activity, are interesting to say the least. Now, the aforementioned Max is a little boy ghost, and there was a young child that stayed here before that was actually communicating with a little boy known as Max, and he kept him as an imaginary friend. As we know that when it comes to imaginary friends, a lot of times the imaginary friend turns out to be a spirit of some type. Now, the older gentleman who has been seen and felt around here has an interesting story linked to him. Now, as I mentioned before, this here is a layover place, a bed and breakfast, so to speak. Now, there was a band actually staying here one night, and one of the band members was actually outside coming to in and out of the building, and a man in black told him to make sure when he leaves to lock up the building. Now, there's no one like that actually in charge of this particular bed and breakfast. And the door that the younger fellow was told to lock actually is a door that never is supposed to be locked. It's always supposed to be open. So it seems like this could have been a dotting spirit trying to look over the place and make sure it was secure. Now, another side story to this whole encounter is the young man that was actually told to lock the place up. His name was Max. I find it interesting that the little child spirit that has been reported is also named Max. Is it possible that the male spirit confused the younger fellow that was staying here for Max and was just giving him directions? Now, at one point there was a fire in this building. As we all know, fire being a tremendous release of energy can also alter the paranormal structure of a building. And what I find interesting is the fire itself started in a fireplace downstairs on the first floor, didn't touch any of the floors, but completely burned the third floor. Now, the third floor is the hotbed of the majority of the paranormal activity. Nothing has been reported in the basement, although in the first floor there has been some shadow play reported, but the epicenter for paranormal activity seems to be up here on the third floor. And that's why we're going to target this entire third floor for this investigation. Now, another incident that actually happened involves electricity up here in the third floor. The maintenance manager actually was called in because all the power was out in the third floor. Now, I find it interesting to note that upon inspection, there's 3 breaker boxes outside. So upon inspection, the only fuse that was tripped into the off position was the third floor breaker box. And that's an older breaker box, and you really had to know what you were doing to be able to trip just that particular breaker box. Was it possible that it was the spirit actually thinking that he was saving on his electric bill. That's possible. Now I find it very interesting to note here also that as I'm filming this, and why I'm not really panicking, is I seem to be blurring in and out. There's no real good reason why this should be happening. I don't know. Well, that'll do it. Every time that light back, kind of. So what I've been asked to do here is to confirm the identities of the spirits, because the spirits don't seem to be threatening in any way, shape, or form. So I'm going to try and get to the identity of the spirits. I'm going to try and find out if the little boy spirit is here. I'm going to also try and find out if the older spirit is here and what his name is and what his actual purpose is. There's also another story that I kind of have to relate. There was a clairvoyant here at one point who was down in the cellar, and the property manager was up here. And the clairvoyant suddenly got on her cell phone and told the property manager that she had to leave. She was in danger. Now, the clairvoyant was picking up on some kind of spirit. Could it have been the male spirit actually kind of being cranky that somebody was up here? Or was it possibly even a third spirit? These are the questions that we are hopefully going to be able to answer here tonight. Also, I want to note that I do have the lights on. It is daytime, and this also goes hand in hand with what I've been doing for the past couple years of investigations, that if there's a spirit here, and if there's a spirit that wants to manifest and he wants to talk to us and show us proof that he's here, you can do it with the lights on, broad daylight, just as easily as if it was midnight and the lights were all completely out. So we're going to put that to the test once again with this investigation. Again, we're going to keep everything channeled here to the 3rd floor. And, well, let's see what we can do. Okay, the first thing I like to do with any paranormal investigation is a base sweep, especially one that's indoors. What I'm going to do is I'm going to measure electromagnetic fields with this device here. Now, this is a K2 meter. It measures electromagnetic fields. It starts out with a little green light where there's no field or a very weak one, and it could go all the way over to red. Now, this is going to pick up on static electromagnetic fields, so we know where not to sit there and do investigations, or if we're walking through and we hit a pocket that's a known pocket and the K2 meter goes off, we won't be surprised and we won't think it's a spirit. Now we're gonna go through all the rooms and do the base sweep to see where the clean areas are and where the high concentrations of EMF are. So we know where to stay away from when we're doing our communication. And if this goes off in a spot where there's like no field, it could possibly be a spirit. Now, spirits use energy to manifest. So if there's a lot of EMF here, it would make sense that a spirit is using that electromagnetic field to actually manifest. Also, if this place is saturated with EMF, if someone's here long enough, it could actually give them what could best be described as the heebie-jeebies, and it could make them get all nervous and tense and feel like they're being watched. They could feel goose flesh and stuff like that. So let's take a walk through now and do the base sweep. Feel free to speak into this device or speak to any one of us and give us a sign of your presence. I'm going to put this little kickstand down, put it right here, and me and Mike are going to be probably jibber-jabbering doing our base sweep. Okay, so this is... There's a surprise.
That's weird. Yeah.
Okay.
Some of that you probably...
Well, this has been redone, so...
Okay.
Let's see, fans are usually a big offender. No?
But don't they have to be turned on, probably?
Yeah, but see, the cool thing is we're not going to turn it on. Because then if we turn it on, we're creating our own EMF field. It's one of those things where we're actually making a pocket. See, that's clean. Seats clean. Especially in areas where we know we're going to be doing our investigation.
Okay. I suppose that thing glitch.
Okay, I finished the base sweep using the K2 meter, and I had EMF in pretty much all the locations where I expected to find EMF. There's a fuse box in the hallway. That was a heavy EMF spot. By the TV and any entertainment areas, there was actually high EMF, but the core of the place, to include the fans and the actual lighting that's going on here, is actually pretty clean. So now that we know where to do communication using K2 devices and similar devices, we now know that if we started getting this thing to light up where it shouldn't be lighting up, that could possibly be paranormal. Now, this was one of the cases that we just got an unbelievable amount of evidence. It was incredible. I've been to some of the more high-end haunts in Western New York and even beyond, and in my opinion, nothing even comes close to this one. So, due to constraints of time, I simply couldn't include every last bit of evidence I got. Most of it was audio. But I am going to include the pieces of evidence that I find are the most compelling pieces of evidence. Most of them are VVPs, video voice phenomena. And I also have a photo I want you to take a look at with an open mind. Now this next clip actually is a kind of a clip that we get quite a sort of common on investigations. Exciting nonetheless though. Now this one seems to say, "Psst, what's that?" Now I'm not exactly sure what it was asking about. We had our gear, we had many cameras and lights and infrared lights going throughout the entire apartment. However, it's also proof that whatever it was intelligently interacting with us and our gear. Now this following clip, we were talking about closing and opening some of the doors and even locking some of them up. As I finished saying this, a voice seems to say, "Glad you remembered." Now this is another example of the child's voice. Now I'm not exactly sure why, but there's another one that's actually out of context. It just kind of asks the question, how? Because from what I can tell, the air conditioning is not on.
That's what I look at this one.
Are you walking around here? Did you brush up against Mike? Now, this next piece of evidence just comes across as odd, out of place, and almost comical. Just at absolute random, this voice says, "It smells."
Make them go off like Christmas lights. Just get really close to it. You'll be alright. Go to red. Red's good color.
Now this next clip is an example of why I firmly believe this place has an intelligent haunt. Now outside, a car beeps its horn and you can clearly hear a voice say, "Jerk." Now it's my opinion the voice is referring to whoever was sounding their horn. Now it has been said that the child spirit that actually lingers in this house's name is Max, allegedly a child who died in the house. Now, as we bring up the name Max, a voice seems to question by saying, "Max. Max, are you here?"
We have all the lights on again. You gonna shut them off?
Now this next clip pretty much cements my belief that we're dealing with two spirits. One is the old man, but the other one clearly is the child Max that has been referred to. Now this is also what I call a Class A VVP. Now a Class A VVP is one that is undisputed and it's heard clearly, even though at the time of the investigation we heard nothing. This one is a child's voice that says, "Me." Do you roam this entire house?
Or just by the light. A little tiny light that you like to flicker.
Now, this is another example of a Class A VVP. This one is very clear, and it's, again, the child's voice that seems to say, yeah, out of nowhere. Round one, goes one, investigated under.
Okay, it's an even score. Come on up.
Alright, every once in a while on an investigation, you get lucky and you get what's considered spirit photography, balls of lights, also better known as orbs. Now, we were lucky enough during this investigation to actually get not one, but two light phenomena. Now, the one is to sort of on the bottom right of the screen next to Carney. It manifests very clearly. And the other one, in clip number 2, seems to dart from side to side. Again, kind of by where the couch is. Now, this is a rare piece of evidence to pick up. And it's no surprise, in this location, we got one, but two. Okay, there's no laundry tubs in here. Let's see if there's anything on the eaves.
I'm sure you definitely right on that.
Now, this next series of clips is compelling, and I put a few of them together. Now, this happened overall around 10 times during the investigation, sometimes in response to yes or no questions, which leads me to believe that the spirit may have been using the hallway light to actually communicate with us, which we acknowledged. Now, at certain periods, at random, the hall light would just flicker, or just turn itself on and off, with no sound of the light switch. Just kind of like an internal thing. Now, I did ask, and all the wiring in this place is new. And I did ask the property manager if this has ever happened before, and I was assured that it has not. So it is my belief the light going on and off that you are about to see may have been the spirit actually trying to communicate with us. Here of the apartment, or the house.
Okay, camera, TV facing that way. The coat rack is way here.
Oh, there they did it again. They just dimmed the lights. Just caught it.
Good, 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 good.
Look, I'm gonna figure this out.
What?
I was sweating, so that's my problem.
Oh, there you go, there you go, there you go. That was clear on and off.
My bad, sorry.
Wonder where the switch is at. Feel free to give us any signs of your presence whatsoever. Oh, was that light there again? Thank you. Now, there were many stories that came out of this place about the various hauntings and even full-body apparitions being seen. After conducting my thorough investigation of the place, I have absolutely no doubt that this is one of the most haunted places Western Door Paranormal has ever investigated. Like I stated earlier, we got so much evidence that I couldn't even showcase it all. I only showcased the best. Now, the strange thing is, we didn't really see anything other than the light going on and off. Now, we did have the knocking game going on a little bit, and we also did hear footsteps. And once again, this place is absolutely haunted. I do intend to go back and do a follow-up investigation and try and find out why, indeed, the male spirit is still lingering. Is he keeping Max there? That's also a possibility. But I firmly believe that the male spirit actually is just upset that so many people are coming and going about their business and doing Lord knows what when they stay overnight at this place, because it is kind of a bed and breakfast. So at times it could be a party place, and it's just probably irking him. But what the spirit must understand is That's how this place is being kept in such pristine condition. And I'm hoping one day, maybe even I can convey to the spirit that that is what's happening here and he should appreciate what's going on.